In the summer of 2021, football fans around the world witnessed something they never expected to see again. A legend was coming home. For years, Cristiano Ronaldo had conquered Europe, titles in England, Spain, and Italy. 5 Ballon d'Or awards, records that seemed almost impossible for a single player to achieve. But despite all the trophies and global fame, there was one place that still held a special meaning in his career: Old Trafford, the stadium of Manchester United. It was the club where a young, skinny teenager from Madeira had first transformed into a global superstar. Under the guidance of legendary manager Sir Alex Ferguson, Ronaldo had evolved from a promising winger into one of the most dangerous attackers in football. When he left for Real Madrid in 2009, it felt like the end of an era. But football has a strange way of writing second chapters. 12 years later, rumors began spreading across the football world. At first, they sounded impossible. Social media posts, insider reports, whispers from journalists. Cristiano Ronaldo might return to Manchester United. Fans didn't want to believe it until they saw confirmation. Then it happened. The announcement arrived. Cristiano Ronaldo had officially signed for Manchester United again. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Supporters flooded social media. Former teammates posted messages of excitement. Fans lined the streets around Old Trafford wearing jerseys with the number 7 printed on the back. For many of them, this wasn't just a transfer. It felt like history correcting itself. The prodigal son had returned. But what most people didn't realize at the time was that this reunion was not as simple as it appeared. Behind the celebrations, behind the cheering crowds and the dramatic headlines, the club itself was going through a difficult period. Manchester United was no longer the dominant force it had been during the Ferguson era. Managers had come and gone. Tactics changed constantly. The team struggled to find a clear identity. And now, into the middle of that uncertainty, stepped one of the biggest personalities the sport had ever seen. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't return simply to play. He returned to win. From the moment he arrived at the training ground, teammates noticed something familiar about him. The same intensity, the same discipline, the same relentless drive that had defined his career. While others left training, Ronaldo stayed longer. While others relaxed, Ronaldo pushed harder. Even at the age of 36, he behaved like a player who still believed he had something to prove. During his second debut match at Old Trafford, the atmosphere was electric. Fans chanted his name before the game even started. And when Ronaldo scored that night, the stadium erupted. It felt like destiny, like the story was unfolding exactly the way everyone had hoped. Goals followed, moments of brilliance, flashes of the old Ronaldo magic. For a while, the dream seemed real, but inside the club, things were not as perfect as they looked from the outside. Manchester United's performances were inconsistent. The team struggled defensively. Managers faced growing pressure, and slowly, quietly, tensions began to build. When a new manager eventually took charge, everything started to change. The new coach was Erik Ten Hag, known for his strict tactical discipline and structured team play. Ten Hag arrived with a clear mission. He wanted to rebuild Manchester United. His system demanded pressing, movement, and collective effort from every player on the pitch. No one was supposed to be bigger than the team, not even Cristiano Ronaldo. At first, the relationship between the superstar and the new manager appeared professional. But as the season progressed, subtle signs of conflict began to appear. Ronaldo started fewer matches. He was sometimes used as a substitute. For a player who would spend most of his career as the centerpiece of every team he played for, this was unfamiliar territory. Some fans believed it was a tactical decision. Others suspected something deeper. Then one night, during a match that would later become symbolic of the entire situation, Ronaldo made a decision that shocked the football world. He left the stadium before the game had even finished. Cameras caught the moment. Within hours, the clip spread across social media. Debates exploded. Was it frustration? Was it disrespect? Or was it the first visible sign that something inside Manchester United had already begun to break? At the time, Few people understood just how serious the situation was becoming, but behind closed doors, the relationship between one of football's greatest players and one of the world's most famous clubs was slowly reaching a breaking point, and soon the tension would explode in a way no one expected. Because Cristiano Ronaldo was about to sit down for an interview that would send shockwaves through the entire football world, and during that interview, he would say two words that would change everything. I feel betrayed. When Erik Ten Hag arrived at Manchester United, he brought with him a reputation, not just as a talented coach, but as a strict one. At his previous clubs, discipline and structure were everything. Every player had a role. Every player had responsibilities. And most importantly, no individual player could be bigger than the system. For many managers, coaching a player like Cristiano Ronaldo would feel like an incredible privilege. But for Ten Hag, it also represented a challenge. Because Ronaldo was not just another footballer, he was a global icon, a player with hundreds of millions of fans around the world, a player whose presence alone could dominate headlines. In the early weeks of the season, Ten Hag tried to establish control of the dressing room. Training sessions became more intense. Tactical instructions became more detailed. The team was expected to press aggressively, defend together, and move as a unit across the pitch. For younger players, this approach was exciting. It felt like a new beginning for the club, but for Ronaldo, the transition was not easy. He had spent nearly 2 decades playing as the central figure of every team he joined. The system had always been designed around him. Now suddenly he was being asked to adapt to a different role. Sometimes that role meant starting matches from the bench. At first, fans were shocked. Seeing Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest goal scorers in football history, sitting on the sidelines felt almost surreal. Commentators debated the decision endlessly. Some believed Ten Hag was making a bold but necessary tactical choice. Others believed it was disrespectful to a legend. Inside the dressing room, the atmosphere slowly began to change. Teammates noticed the tension. Nothing dramatic at first, just small signs. Conversations that ended too quickly. Moments of silence after training sessions. Subtle differences in body language. But the turning point came during a match that would soon become one of the most talked about moments of the entire season. Manchester United were leading comfortably. With only a few minutes remaining, Ten Hag prepared to bring Ronaldo onto the pitch as a late substitute. For many players, those final minutes would simply be another chance to contribute to the team. But for Ronaldo, the moment carried a different meaning. For years, he had been the player who started matches, the player who decided games, the player everyone else depended on. Walking onto the field for a few final minutes felt different. Something about the situation clearly frustrated him. And instead of accepting the substitution, Ronaldo made a decision that stunned everyone watching. He walked down the tunnel before the match had even finished. Cameras captured the moment. Within minutes, the footage spread across social media platforms. Fans began arguing instantly. Some criticized Ronaldo for disrespecting the team. Others blamed Ten Hag for disrespecting a legend. The debate divided supporters around the world, but inside Manchester United, the incident created a serious problem. Because now the tension between the club's biggest star and its manager was no longer hidden. It was visible to everyone. Soon after the match, the club released a statement confirming that Ronaldo would not be included in the squad for the next game. It was a disciplinary decision, a message from the manager that the rules applied to everyone, even Cristiano Ronaldo. For the first time in his career, Ronaldo found himself in an unfamiliar position. He was not the center of the project. He was no longer untouchable. And as weeks passed, the situation did not improve. Ronaldo continued training. He continued working hard, but his role in the team remained limited. On the field, Manchester United slowly began improving under Ten Hag's system, but off the field, the relationship between player and manager appeared increasingly fragile. Fans could sense that something bigger was happening behind closed doors. Journalists began asking more questions. Rumors started appearing in newspapers and sports websites. Was Ronaldo planning to leave? Was the club trying to push him out? Neither side spoke publicly about the conflict, at least not yet. But the silence would not last forever. Because eventually, Cristiano Ronaldo decided to tell his side of the story, and he chose to do it in the most dramatic way possible. Instead of a quiet press statement, instead of a brief comment after a match, he sat down for a long interview with broadcaster Piers Morgan. What happened during that conversation would send shockwaves through the entire football world. Because during the interview, Ronaldo did something almost unheard of. He openly criticized his own club. He criticized the manager. And then he said the words that instantly became global headlines. Cristiano Ronaldo looked directly at the camera and said, "I feel betrayed." The moment those words were spoken, the story exploded across every major sports news outlet, and suddenly, the private tensions inside Manchester United became one of the biggest public controversies football had seen in years. But what exactly did Ronaldo mean when he said he felt betrayed? And how would the club respond? The answers were coming, and they would change everything. The day of the interview, the world's attention was focused on one room. Cristiano Ronaldo, seated in a quiet studio, faced Piers Morgan, a journalist known for asking the questions others hesitate to. Ronaldo's demeanor was calm, almost reflective, but beneath the surface, tension simmered. He began recounting his journey, the victories, the titles, the personal sacrifices, and then he shifted focus. The club he had returned to with dreams of winning together, the team he had once called family. "I feel betrayed," he said, the words deliberate, measured, carrying weight beyond the simple statement. It was not just a phrase. It was a verdict, a declaration, a signal that the relationship he had cherished for years was broken. He described how decisions had been made without him, how tactics and roles were imposed, and how the sense of respect he had expected was absent. Every word struck a chord with fans, players, and pundits alike. Social media erupted instantly. Clips of the interview were shared, replayed, and dissected. Hashtags began trending globally. Number Ronaldo betrayed. Number Old Trafford drama. Number respect the legend. Commentators on television and sports podcasts debated endlessly. Was Ronaldo overreacting? Was the club justified in following its tactical plan? Or had a football superstar finally reached a breaking point after years of compromise and loyalty? Inside Manchester United, the reaction was swift. Executives met behind closed doors. Managers discussed the growing media storm. Players were asked to maintain focus, but the tension in the dressing room was palpable. Some teammates supported Ronaldo quietly, understanding his frustration. Others remained loyal to the manager, believing the system needed time to succeed. The interview had a ripple effect beyond England. Football fans in Spain, Italy, Portugal, and even Asia, where Ronaldo had millions of followers, were glued to every detail. The story was no longer about a single match. It was about respect, legacy, and trust. Journalists began digging deeper. Reports emerged suggesting that the tension between Ronaldo and the club had been building for months. The early benchings, the subtle sidelining in games, and the tactical disagreements were all part of a growing divide. Some insiders claimed the manager and Ronaldo had tried private meetings to resolve their differences, but neither side seemed willing to fully compromise. For Ronaldo, his role in the club had never been just about playing. He wanted to lead, to inspire, and to leave a lasting mark. For Ten Hag, the priority was rebuilding a struggling club according to his philosophy. In his view, the team system was bigger than any individual, even one of football's greatest players. The public, however, rarely sees these nuances. On social media, opinions were starkly divided. Some fans sided with Ronaldo, calling him a victim of mismanagement. Others blamed him for being difficult, insisting that no player should be bigger than the club itself. As the days passed, the controversy escalated. Sponsors, commentators, and even former players joined the conversation. Each day brought new headlines, new analyses, and new debates. Ronaldo, meanwhile, remained composed. He avoided social media himself, allowing his words in the interview to speak for him. His calm exterior contrasted sharply with the chaos unfolding online. The situation reached a critical point when the club released an official statement. It acknowledged Ronaldo's dissatisfaction and stated that discussions were ongoing regarding his future. Fans held their breath. What would happen next? Would Ronaldo stay and try to mend the relationship? Or would he take the bold step that few imagined possible? The interview had changed everything. No longer was this a simple transfer or a routine season at Manchester United. This had become a story about loyalty, respect, and betrayal, a drama that extended far beyond the pitch. In living rooms around the world, people watched, debated, and waited. Every headline, every tweet, and every news clip felt like a new chapter in a story that was still unfolding. And for Ronaldo, the pressure was immense. He was no longer just a player. He was a symbol of ambition, principle, and legacy. Every decision he made would be scrutinized by millions. The question now was inevitable. What next? Would the club respond with compromise? Or was this the beginning of a dramatic exit that would shock the footballing world? All signs pointed to the latter. Because sometimes, in the world of professional sports, when trust is broken, even legends are forced to make impossible choices. And Ronaldo was about to face one of the toughest decisions of his career. The morning after the interview, Manchester United headquarters was tense. Executives called an emergency meeting. Managers, legal advisors, and public relations officers gathered around long, polished tables, discussing how to handle the storm. The words betrayal and media backlash were repeated more times than anyone could count. Inside the dressing room, the atmosphere was heavy. Teammates whispered in corners, glancing at each other nervously. Some avoided eye contact with Ronaldo. Others gave small nods of understanding. Everyone knew this was no ordinary controversy. Meanwhile, journalists swarmed every angle of the story. Headlines screamed across newspapers, sports websites, and social media. Ronaldo, I feel betrayed. Manchester United in crisis after superstar interview. Will Ronaldo stay or go? Fans split instantly into two camps. Some flooded forums defending Ronaldo, arguing that a player of his stature deserved respect and leadership. Others claimed the club was justified, insisting that no player should be above the system. Arguments erupted on Twitter, YouTube comments, and fan groups. The story became global, transcending football to touch debates about loyalty, respect, and management in any workplace. Back at the club, Ten Hag and the board faced a difficult dilemma. They admired Ronaldo's talent, but they also knew that letting him continue under strained conditions could disrupt the team's progress. Every day that the conflict lingered made the squad's cohesion weaker. Executives debated privately. Some argued for compromise, give Ronaldo more influence, change tactical decisions, or promise more starts. Others insisted on sticking to their principles. The system was bigger than any individual. They couldn't allow one superstar to control the club's decisions. Amid the deliberations, Ronaldo continued his routine. Training sessions, gym sessions, meetings with coaches. He did not make public comments beyond the interview. But inside, he knew something had shifted irreversibly. Ronaldo had always been a fighter. He had faced the world's toughest defenses, broken records, and led under immense pressure. Yet this was different. This was not about goals or trophies. It was about trust and respect. And the trust he thought he had from Manchester United had been broken. Rumors began leaking. Ronaldo's representatives were in talks with other clubs. Names of possible destinations circulated in headlines: Saudi Arabia, Portugal, even the United States. Fans speculated, debated, and argued over every possible outcome. The situation escalated further when Manchester United issued another statement. They emphasized respect for Ronaldo's contributions, but acknowledged the difficulties in aligning expectations between player and club. It was diplomatic language, but everyone reading between the lines could see the message. The end of this chapter was near. Fans held their breath. Could Ronaldo and the club reconcile, or was the parting inevitable? Social media amplified every small signal. Videos of Ronaldo leaving training early, of managers making tactical choices without him, or of fans chanting his name in empty stadiums were dissected frame by frame. Each clip fueled speculation and tension. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, negotiations intensified. Lawyers and agents exchanged messages. Club officials drafted proposals. Ronaldo's team prepared alternatives. Every decision had consequences for legacy, finances, and football history. Then came the pivotal moment. After days of tense deliberation, Manchester United and Ronaldo reached an agreement. His contract would be terminated. The news hit like a thunderbolt. Headlines worldwide reflected the magnitude. Cristiano Ronaldo leaves Manchester United. The superstar departs after feeling betrayed. Old Trafford drama ends. Fans reacted instantly. Some celebrated, others mourned. Forums were filled with tributes to Ronaldo's career and debates about whether the club handled the situation correctly. Pundits dissected the implications for both the team and the player. For Ronaldo, the decision was bittersweet. He had returned to Old Trafford as a hero, dreamed of ending his career there. But instead, he left with mixed emotions: pride in his achievements, sorrow for what could have been, and a lingering sense of betrayal. Yet even in departure, Ronaldo remained composed. His farewell statement was dignified, thanking the fans, acknowledging the club, and reflecting on the memories he cherished. He did not attack anyone. He focused on gratitude and legacy. For Manchester United, the challenge was just beginning. Losing a player of Ronaldo's magnitude was more than a football problem. It was a global story, affecting sponsorships, ticket sales, and the morale of the squad. But for the world watching, this was a story of drama, ambition, and trust. A legendary player returning to his roots, believing in loyalty, only to confront circumstances he could not control. A narrative that reminded everyone that even icons are human. And while headlines faded after days and weeks, the story of betrayal, respect, and legacy remain etched in football history. After leaving Manchester United, Cristiano Ronaldo faced a new chapter in his life. For fans around the world, it was a mix of shock, admiration, and reflection. Social media continued to buzz, analyzing every statement, every gesture, every goal. Ronaldo would score elsewhere, but for Ronaldo himself, the focus was different. He had always been defined by discipline, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Yet this experience reminded him and everyone watching that even legends are not immune to disappointment and betrayal. Ronaldo reflected on what he had learned. Loyalty, he realized, is precious but fragile. Trust must be earned and preserved by both sides. Even in the glimmering world of professional football, success, he understood, is not measured by trophies alone. It is also shaped by the respect, recognition, and alignment of values with those around you. Across England, Manchester United's fans came to terms with the departure. Some mourned the loss of a hero. Others acknowledged that change was necessary for the team's future. Conversations about leadership, teamwork, and ambition flourished in fan forums, pubs, and sports shows. Ronaldo's story became a case study in balancing personal ambition with organizational loyalty. Meanwhile, Ronaldo's personal brand and global appeal remained unshaken. Clubs worldwide watched closely, knowing that a player of his stature could still transform fortunes on the field. Offers arrived, negotiations began, and new chapters were written in headlines. But every move was now tinged with the memory of the betrayal he felt. For younger athletes, Ronaldo's experience became a cautionary tale. Talent alone cannot guarantee smooth relationships or fulfillment. Respect, communication, and shared goals are critical. Even for the most celebrated players, coaches, teammates, and managers could also learn from it. The human element is just as important as tactics, strategy, and performance. In the public eye, the story had lasting impact. "I feel betrayed" became more than just words. It became symbolic of the tension between individual ambition and organizational structure. Analysts dissected it repeatedly. Sports historians cataloged it, and fans never forgot the drama that unfolded at Old Trafford. Yet for Ronaldo, the conclusion was clear. He would continue to pursue his goals. But now, with a deeper understanding of the fragility of trust, he had faced the ultimate betrayal not in a match, but in the complex dynamics of loyalty and respect within the club he loved. Looking back, the story was not only about football, it was about ambition, human emotion, and the universal experience of betrayal. The headlines faded over time, but the lessons endured. For viewers of this story, it offers insight. Even those who seem unstoppable, untouchable, or legendary are still vulnerable. Even heroes face moments when the people they trust the most let them down. And yet, resilience, dignity, and focus on what truly matters can define their legacy more than any goal, trophy, or accolade ever could. As for Manchester United, the club moved forward, reshaping its strategy and identity. A superstar had left, but the story reinforced the importance of balance between authority, teamwork, and respect. Fans debated endlessly, but the drama had forever etched itself into the club's history. And for football lovers worldwide, the tale of Ronaldo's return, betrayal, and ultimate departure serves as a reminder that the most gripping stories are not always about what happens on the pitch. They are about trust, loyalty, and the human heart behind the game. In the end, Ronaldo walked away with his head held high, proud of his achievements, aware of the betrayals he faced, and ready to conquer whatever challenges came next. His story had changed football history, captivated millions, and reminded the world of an undeniable truth. Even the greatest can feel betrayed. But resilience defines legends. And that is the story of the day. Cristiano Ronaldo said, "I feel betrayed,